Hey guys, and welcome to another show and tell video. Now, first I have a shout out to Steve in Canada. He's actually a subscriber, a VIP subscriber, and look what he did. He sent me these new pair of gloves. You guys felt so sorry for me because my gloves are dirty, tattered, torn. Actually, I think I look like Mickey Mouse with these gloves on. And if I take off one glove, I'm not sure if it's right or left hand, I could be Michael Jackson. Woo-hoo! Today I'm going to get back to our core product, which is I'm going to show you some guns from the Andrews collection. You remember that. And some of them are not from the Andrews collection, but they just came in this week. I got a couple of guns that just came in by themselves. But I'm not done showing you some guns from the Andrews collection. Out of the 700, we haven't even scratched the surface. So first, let me give you an update on a couple of things. Remember, the last video I said this has been a blockbuster week. I've been banging out videos like crazy. And the problem with banging out videos like crazy is I missed a few things. I forgot a couple of things. Some of them are really important. So let me update a couple of the past videos. First, let's take a look at the Eva Braun ring. A couple of things that are very important. This auction also came with this, which is, I guess, a dinner napkin. And Eva Braun's initials are here, but it came in the same, not the same lot, but it came from the same auction. And then this dinner plate, this is her logo. I guess it goes like that. Eva Braun. I don't know what the J is, but this is definitely one of the logos that she used. And this is a dinner plate. Those of you who know fine china might recognize that. And then this is made in Germany, of course. If you're Eva Braun, you only buy German products. And this letter came with the auction. Basically, it was Mohawk Arms, and a lot of this collection came from a Dr. Mark Griffith. Now, one of the people who watched this video wrote to me and said, do you happen to know who he is? Because he collected personal items from Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun, and he actually wrote several books about the fact after the war, he went to Germany and he tracked down some of the service team or wait staff of Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun. And so he personally had one of the largest collections of personal items that came from them. Now he claimed that the waitstaff, basically after the war was over and they were dead, they took home a lot of the personal items, including clothing and jewelry and things like this. And it's his claim that he paid for these items. He went and tracked down some of the waitstaff and the service team. He went to their homes, he knocked on the door, and he offered to pay. Now, I can't verify that story, but that's certainly what he's claimed. And I am now Googling that information to get more information. So I just wanted to let you know, the ring, the whole idea of it being stolen, I'm not retracting any of that. I'm just saying more information has been coming my way, including some museums that have contacted us. So it's actually exciting because we just got an overwhelming response, and all of it was very respectful. So thank you for that. And then the funny one was the smoking the cigarettes. And again, you guys seem to really like that and were very respectful about it. But there was one thing that I actually had in my head that I wanted to be sure to say, and I didn't say it. So a ton of you made comments about what I wanted to say because I just think it's hysterical. I mentioned about how Hitler was a health food nut and no smoking, no heavy drinking, only raw fruits and vegetables. But methamphetamines and stimulants, that's perfectly fine. And I wanted to say that as a joke, and many of you wrote to us and said, oh yeah, he was a health food nut until it came to taking pain pills and all the medications he was on, and Goering was an addict, and he was an addict, and the soldiers were all hooked on meth. Point well taken, I meant to say it, and so now I did. And then finally, the book. The one, I did mention this, but I wanted to reiterate because I got new information. First of all, I have ordered the books, and the publisher has said they're going to be here in a week to 10 days. So many of you have already ordered the book. They will be on the way soon. But if you are outside of the United States, and that includes Canada, some of you may not know Canada is not part of the United States. That's a joke. Canadians get upset about that. I think it's funny. If you're outside the United States, just go to Amazon.com and order the book there because you will pay local shipping. It turns out that Amazon is bigger than Legacy Collectibles. Who knew? They actually have distribution centers throughout Asia, Australia, Canada, and all of Europe. And if you're a Prime member, many times you can get free shipping, or it's very inexpensive because you're paying for local shipping of this book. So don't come to us to buy it. The book is $49. My shipping overseas is $40. So it's almost twice the value. You can buy it for $49. It's actually $49.95, and you can probably get shipping at a fraction of what I would have to charge you. Now, this is new information, but this is why you subscribe to this channel, because I've got some extremely valuable information for a couple of you collectors out there. Let me show you. Now, before the Andrews collection, there was the Peter collection out in California. Now, as you know, Peter had some of the best welder PPs and PPKs I've ever seen. I shared those with you, and they sold almost immediately. But I also found among his stuff this. It's a letter about a party leader PPK, and actually in here there's documentation that it had party leader grips. It is in the correct range, and he sold me this gun about a year ago. I then sold it to somebody there, but I don't have record. Somehow the records are missing. So this party leader comes with a capture paper, and there's information about the private who brought it home, and there's his name. Private Kramer. That's what I love about the United States. And I'm sure your countries, many of your countries are the same way. Even a lowly private can bring home a party leader PPK worth $10,000. So I have the paperwork. If you have a collection, go and quickly check and see if you have this gun, because I just made your day. I have the capture papers and also documentation from the vet who brought it back. Similar to that, these two boxes. I bought these guns a while ago, and then when I went to Peter's house and cleaned out the drawers, I found these boxes. They correspond with guns that we have sold in the past, and I have no record of who might have them. In fact, to be honest, maybe Peter sold them, maybe I sold them, maybe I don't know how they got separated, but these guns do exist out there. These are the serial numbers, and these are very nice PP boxes. So if you have the gun, let us know. It's got all the accessories and the extra magazine, the whole 9 yards. This actually, just to show you how good I am with these numbers, that is probably Swedish contract. It's going to have a lanyard loop on it, and it went to the Swedish police. Same way with this one. That serial range was a Swedish contract to the Swedish police, and it'll come with a lanyard loop. Hold on. It'll look like that. This is actually a Danish contract, but the RPLT is a Danish contract, but they did the same thing. They ordered it with the lanyard. Okay, back to the Andrews collection. Remember I said how he liked police items? Pew, pew, pew. I like to play with these at night after everybody else goes home. But he liked police items. Let me show you some of his police guns that are just stunning. First, I have two police, we call them Dries. I think other people call them Dreise. I'm sure it's Dreise, but I'm going to say Dries. And if you watch the show Babylon Berlin, in fact, one of my videos a while back, I said I was watching it and was, really hooked on it. It is in German, so I read the subtitles. But it takes place in Weimar, Germany. So between the wars, it talks about the struggle between the rising tide of Nazism, the National Socialist Party, but also the rising tide of communism. And so the two factions fighting it out, and the majority of the public being kind of caught in the middle between the two factions. But in that show, they show the detective. So there is a plainclothes police detective who is the star of the show, and he is using a Dries. Looks a lot like this. In fact, here's a couple pictures from the, and it's a Netflix series, Babylon Berlin. And there's him shooting, and he's defending himself in one, and I think there's a shootout in a restaurant. But he's holding one of these. And because of that, we've actually had people write to us and say, do you ever get this gun? So people basically want to own the gun because it's in the show, and people, especially in Germany, are obsessed with the show. I loved it myself. But this is the gun, and you can see it was police issued. It was later crossed out probably when it was decommissioned by the police and sold to the public. There's no import marks, so I assume it came to the United States after World War II. You see here the bore holes. We've talked about those before. So these are horn grips. This is probably from the late 20s, early 30s. And you see the police unit marking. It could be, that's KB, so it could be criminal police of Berlin, which would be what Babylon Berlin is all about. And this again would be a criminal detective. And here you see another police marking. Again, that one is crossed out. Here is another one. We are going to be putting these on the website. I started to say, I don't know if I finished the thought, but people have been writing to us and say, do you have any of those guns that they used in Babylon Berlin? Well, now we do. We actually, there's like 3 or 4 of these. We already sold a couple. And we know we're selling them too cheap when other dealers are buying them because then they just turn around and sell them for more. This one is, I think, even nicer. You see here the gun, and this one is not crossed out, which I think adds to the value. You do see the Crown U proofs and criminal police probably of Berlin. I don't know if it's marked here. The magazines are numbered. This one is, I think, a unit marking, 2614. Let's see what unit this is. 2614, so there you go. So this has a matching magazine, and so does this one. You see it ends in 950, and if we look at the bottom of that, you see it ends in 950. So this comes with matching magazines. It is 32 caliber, and I've never shot one, but if this is something that appeals to you, you might want to check it out on the website. Now, I saw this one in the pile as well, and I thought, oh, here's another Dries. But in fact, this is a National Fabrique, and very similar, well, somewhat similar design. And not sure if somebody copied the design, but this is in 32 caliber. And here you see the serial number, but it also went to the police, and you can see criminal police. So we got quite a few of these, maybe Prussia. I'm not sure. Unit markings. I don't spend a lot of time researching these. I like to bring them to you, and certainly if some of our viewers want to take some time. How about these gloves? Aren't they great? If somebody wants to take the time to research, they can share with the group what police unit that might be. Now for some guns that I'm a lot more familiar with. This is 1938. You see the Police Eagle. By now, if you're watching my YouTube channel, you're getting to know those stubby little wings on the Nazi Eagle. I like to say dinosaur or alligator arms. They're a little short and stubby. And this is a 1934 Mauser. And what makes this one police is the Police Eagle L. Now that's a pretty rare marking. They made them in with Eagle C inspection proof and Eagle L. Those are the only 2 inspector proofs that you'll see. Like the CZ27 will be Police Eagle K. This will either be L or C, and that is a correct proof mark. Now, this comes with two matching mags, so let's check that out. The Police Eagle L is rare enough, but with matching mag number 1 and number 2, they're getting dirty already. Matching number 1 and number 2, you can see that this matches the gun. And with the holster, it's a very rare police rig, and quite sought after by collectors. I'm going to have a bunch of people contact me on this one. There's the front strap, pretty good condition. A little bit of browning, as I call it, patina. Where it gets worn, it starts to rust, and so you have a little bit of browning. But that's just from going in and out of the holster. And then 2 more. Both of these are matching magazines. Let's do this one next. Now, this style reminds me a lot of a Kriegsmarine. We do get HSCs and 1934 Mausers that come in this style. And right here, it'll have a Eagle M for Marine or Kriegsmarine. This is not a Kriegsmarine rig. This is another police rig. Now, for those of you who are German, you know how I say the Germans will take like 4 words and push them all together? If anybody can translate this, hopefully it has something to do with a police department. Otherwise, it's not original to the gun. But somebody can translate that for us, and please comment. I just love it when you guys send me comments. And so let me show you this because it's a little unusual. At first, his Don Andrews tag said police rig. And I couldn't figure out, I looked it over and I said, I don't see anything about this that makes it police. And by the way, if you're looking at this and saying, this thing is stunning, I would love to own it. You're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. So I probably will keep this one. Bad news for you, but good news for me. I just never come across this stuff. Again, collecting 25, almost 30 years, you just never find these. So here's what makes it police. This little star K is a police proof. It's very tiny, but that makes this a police issue gun. And I would have missed it. I would have thought it was a freckle, especially with my eyes. But now look on this mag. You have the same proof. And then the second mag, which was in the gun, you can see the police proof. So pending our results of this, we can say that this rig came all together as a 2 matching mag, all original, with the original holster. Please let me know. But this is a very cool rig, and I will likely try to keep this one. Okay, and then the last of the small caliber police guns. I have plenty more police guns, but we'll do more videos. Let's just go over this one. This was a brown holster that was later dyed black. It must have been early because you can see the brass stud. These are all 32 caliber. This is a 1914. As opposed to the 1934. Can you tell the difference? Yeah, you can see right away. So on the model 1934 is they just made for a better grip. So here it's more of a straight. And the 1910 is similar. So the 1910, 1914, and then the model 1934, you can see that it has a different frame. And you can also see that this is a police gun, but this time it's Eagle C. Now this one came from my PC. For those of you who are not into the lingo, that's my personal collection. So now you can see why I wanted to keep this one. This is the one that I just showed you. It's a 1914 and then the 1934. Police Star K and Police Eagle C. Don't they go together? Okay, talk about being busy and just skipping over. I want to go back and finish this up. This one is Police 1914, 32 caliber, 7.65. SP, and then an L underneath. SP is often state police, and state police there would have meant national security. So state police. L is often land police, which means rural areas. So pretty much this is like state security, rural districts. Hopefully you can see that. And this gun is in very nice condition. So again, this one has 2 matching mags, but here's something that I don't think I've ever seen before. It's double 2 matching. So take a look. I usually just look at the last 3 digits. We got 084, and you got mag number 1 and mag number 2. You see 084 right there. And not only do you have it on the side, but you have it on the bottom. Again, 2 matching mags. And here's the Roman numeral 1 and Roman numeral 2. Now, why is that like that? I think this is probably, these were not done at the factory. All these police numbered magazines, just like with the PPs and PPKs, the police numbered magazines were done at the police arsenal. And one way you can tell that is it's after they were hardened, and so often when they pounded those in there, they actually warped the metal a little bit, and you can see on an angle, it's just like indented a little bit. They were not done in the factory, they were done post-factory. I would imagine they went through and somebody marked them, and then somebody else said, oh, these are not marked. And so then he marked them too, but the bottom line is they marked them twice, probably as a police arsenal error. Okay, next, and this is in the thumbnail. This gun just, boggles me. I've seen them at gun shows before, actually, over the past 10 years. It's called a zigzag gun for obvious reasons. There's a big ZZ. Actually, there's a ZZ, because the Z's just keep going around. But the zigzag gun, I'll tell you a little bit about that. 1878 is the patent. And they did make them for German testing for the military. The testing was in 1879. Now, this is also known as the C-78. So again, Mauser made the C-96, which was the broom handle. This is known as the C-78, so 1878. Let's take a closer look at this gun. So I've actually never held one in my hand before. I did go online and I found that Forgotten Weapons, of course Ian has done one on these, but not this particular model. It seems that there was a first variation, and I believe this is the first variation. Then he shows a couple of the second variations, which has like a little loop right here. If you go on the internet, you'll see a little loop. You pull that down and it breaks open. This is a early first variation, which is a solid frame. It doesn't break open. Now it will come apart. Push up on this, and this whole piece comes out, and then the cylinder comes out. But this is not my gun, so I don't want to get too friendly with it. As I said, I've never seen one before, never held one before. But this is what has me bewildered. And by the way, he said that most of the grips looked like this. They did have, for the military version, they had wooden grips, but the military rejected it, 1879 trials. The military rejected it and instead accepted the Reichs revolver. Some of you are familiar with the Reichs revolver. This, however, Mauser, this is the only revolver that Mauser ever made. They're famous for their Mauser rifles, the K98. They're famous for their Mauser semi-automatics. Actually, a lot of those police guns I just showed you are Mauser semi-automatics, and of course the broom handle. It came in 3 calibers. There was a small caliber, 7.6. I think it's actually just 7.6. Then they made a 9mm, which was the most popular model. And then this is a 10.6 caliber, 10.6 caliber. So it's a pretty hefty load, and I believe that's what the Reichs revolver was made in, 10.6. Now, here's my quandary on this. I've never seen anything so beautiful in my life. In terms of, look at this fire blue and the finish on this. Look at the cylinder. Now you do see roll marks here. See the roll marks? I'll show you the other side. I don't want to turn it too much because I'll put more roll marks on it. Roll marks. And the fire blue and the beautiful finish. I'm going to give you some reasons why I think this is a restored gun, and then some reasons why I think it might be original. First of all, one of the reasons I think it could be restored is because the muzzle, if you look at most guns around here, it's a polished white, no finish. This one is blued, and even down inside the bore, you do see the bluing. So that makes me think this is restored. Another reason I think that it might be restored is because of this fire blue. If you look online and you see others of these, this is fire blued and this is case hardened. So that makes me think, okay, this is not all original. Now, here's some reasons why I think this could be all original, and it just baffles me. First of all, you can't see the bore. I'm going to talk about these markings. You can't see the bore. The bore is absolutely perfect. It looks like it never shot around. This marking is crisp and clear. Marking here is crisp and clear, nowhere at all. So in order to have done this, they would have had to reapply it. Also look at the top. Notice the pattern. No signs that this has been polished down or refinished. So in order to look that good, and I think the best example, if any of you know Turnbull restorations, they will take old 1911 Colts, they will shave them down, then they reapply, they re-roll the markings. And to do something like that is quite expensive. In fact, you know, a $5,000 all original gun versus a Turnbull. Turnbull's going to be $5,000 just for the restoration, just because they do such a great job. So whoever did this, I mean, this was not worn or buffed, or it doesn't look like it was redone. It looks crisp like it was done yesterday. Now, even with these gloves on, I have to tell you, the most exciting part of this gun to me is, see the zigzags? If I took my gloves off, I could cut my hand. I could shave. I could take this and shave with it. It is sharp as the edge of a knife. And I've talked to people who own these, and they say, you know, when it goes in and out of the holster, or you continually use it, it wears down these sharp edges, and especially if you refinish it, because you're going to buff off all of the little pin pricking or any kind of rust or discoloration. You buff that all off, and you're not going to get the sharp edges like we see on this gun. So this gun, so basically I'm saying I'm not sure. It certainly is a very expensive gun, whether it's been restored or whether it's all original. The action on it, it does have a manual safety right here. The Reich's revolver, I'm told, also has a manual safety, but that's unusual for a revolver. So it cocks back and will fire. But of course, if it's locked in, you can't pull it back because what it does is hold the cylinder in place. And the grips are just, it's kind of a floral imprint, but it's got beautiful grips. By the way, this looks like it has a little bit of wear, and the front strap looks like it has a little bit of wear. But other than that, even the lanyard, there's just absolutely no wear. This is also fire blue, just no wear. Just a phenomenal gun, whether it's been restored or not. Okay, next I'm going to show you a couple of Lugers. These are very early and very rare. And what makes this one rare is a 1910, I'll come up close in a minute, but this is a 1910 military Luger. Now, I went to a collector's forum many years ago, and many of the books said the first year they made a military Luger was 1911. And then somebody came up with a 1910 and said, what do you think of this? And people said, it's fake. They don't make a 1910. Since then, others have been discovered. And this one certainly looks like an all-original 1910. I can't tell you how many there are. I could probably research a bit, but I've only seen a couple of these. So it's very rare to find a 1910 military Luger. But this one goes above and beyond, and let me show you. So some of the features of the early 1910, obviously, first of all, the date. And it was made by DWM, that's the logo. See that little white pin? That's some indication that it's not been refinished, because that pin was always in the white, and when you blew over it, it'll make that pin blued. You can see how nice the straw parts are and the military markings. It of course comes in 9mm. Remember I talked about the muzzle being in the white? That's what it should look like, and the zigzag was blued there. And then also you do see halos on the serial number underneath the barrel. So I'm convinced this is all original 1910. Now it has some special features. If you look at any Luger, military Luger, it always has a stock lug. Just so that you can see the comparison, this is almost a Black Widow. It's a Mauser banner, so that's not a Black Widow. Well, it could be a Black Widow, depending on whatever you want to call it. So that's what the stock looks like. The stock lug looks like normally. And then after World War I, some of the stock lugs were ground off, and that was because of the Treaty of Versailles. If you put a stock on it, it becomes a short barrel rifle. And so after World War I, they ground off some of the stock lugs. But this was never ground off because in 1910, they didn't have the stock lug. The military, they didn't even come up with that until a little bit later. I think 1912, they added the stock lug, and from then on, they always had that stock lug on there. So that's one of the features of an early 1910 is no stock lug. Another feature, some people will get this and say it's broken because my magazine is in. It's supposed to stay back. Remember, on the last bullet, the hold open will hold it back. And when that doesn't work, people say it's broken. But in fact, the 1910 does not have a hold open. And many of them were sent back to the factory, and they put a little notch right in here, which allowed them to attach a hold open. And so it was modified to accommodate the hold open. But this gun, this is why it's really special, not only is it really early, not only is it in beautiful condition, it has no notch for the hold open to be added. I'll show you the inside of that in a minute, but first let's go through the rest of the gun. Here's the unit marking. So it's a regimental machine gun unit, and that would be the company number and gun number 16. So you can look up the history of exactly what unit this went to, but this was a machine gun unit. And the other thing about the early guns, we have talked about no stock lug, no hold open. When they numbered the magazines, most times you see the magazines numbered this way. Only in the earliest of guns, the magazine goes this way. And lo and behold, if you look at the number, let's do the last 3 digits, 186. And we see, where's the best way to see it? Maybe right here. Last 3 digits are 186. So this has, since 1910, over 100 years old, the original magazine, beautiful finish, all in original condition, unaltered. It also comes with, you think it's cool, you think it's cool now. We go even further. We have the belt. Now, there's nothing that says that this was the belt that it came with, but the belt came with the holster. And the holster definitely came with this gun. So you can see that it was once brown, later dyed black, and a lot of military units ordered that the brown holsters be dyed black. I see that. I actually bought 4 artillery holsters yesterday, and every one of them had been brown and then later dyed black. So you see the maker, and you see 10 for the year, 1910. So this holster is from 1910. You can see that this is dated 1910. It also has a unit, RJ. This is 5 point something. It could be 5.16. Can't say for sure, but it could be. It's kind of smudged out. So this is certainly a military holster from 1910. Came with this gun. And one last thing is, there is a person's name here. Now, I can't read it. I'll let you take a look, and if somebody bought this, they might want to research it a little bit more. I should mention the tool. I pull the tool out, and you can see it is 516, so that's the unit marking, and so the tool matches. The tool came with the gun for sure. The holster may have come from the same gun, but it also could just be the same unit, 1910. Very rare to have the gun, very rare to have the holster and the belt. Some of you are going to say, what about the other magazine? This one is blank. So this is a spare, probably a field replacement. So I have a blank and then one matching mag. Just a phenomenal rig that I never see. Well, next I wanted to show you the inside, but before I pull it apart, let me show you a 1911 Erfurt. So, first year they made the Erfurt was 1911 Erfurt. You can see the military markings. Is there a unit mark? You can see that it does not have a stock lug. It was right before the changeover to the stock lug. But this one, look at this. That does hold open. And that's because this one, after the war, was sent back and reworked, and that has a police sear. So we know it was sent back after the war was over and reissued to the police. They added the sear, and for sure, they added the hold open. Now, if you look right here, there's a little pin. They did a beautiful job. They drilled in there, put a little pin to hold the hold open. And so that's the modification that you see when they added the hold open. And so if you have really early guns, you can take a look and you'll see that if it does hold open, that means they added it later, but originally it did not come with one. And then you can see the magazine. You see how I said that the magazine is normally numbered this way, and that's the correct font that you usually see, whereas this one goes horizontally. I guess it's horizontal if I turn it horizontally, and the font is different. So, but this is a very rare and correct magazine. Let's take these apart. Okay, here's the 2 frames. This is the 1910 DWM, and that's what it looks like with no hold open. Right here is where the hold open goes, and you can see that the inside is in the white, which shows again that it was not refinished. This is all white metal in here, and this one as well. A little more corrosion in there, but you see the hold open. In fact, it's numbered to the gun, number 14. So this is the 1911 Erfurt. You can see that it's number 14, and this is the hold open. And this has no hold open. How does the hold open work? Keep an eye right here. When I pop this up, you see it pushes it up. And when it pushes it up, that way when the toggle comes back, it hits here on the last round. So as long as, I'll show that again. As long as the magazine is feeding in bullets, the hold open stays down, but when it's on the last round, that pops up. So you can see the hold open just keeps that toggle in the open position. Okay, let me close with one more gun. I have a PPK to show you just because PPKs are my favorite. Some of you know right away this is a dropping holster, and the snout would tell you it's a PPK. Also, let's come up close and take a look. This is a Luftwaffe PPK. It does say model PPK 7.65, barely readable. And then this is the maker and also an L2 proof. Again, I only know that because I know these, but that's a Luftwaffe mark. And also, so this is a dropping holster, Luftwaffe marked. The holster alone we've sold easily for $2,500. They're very, very rare. Luftwaffe holster. And then here's the gun itself. It's a high polish finish with Waffen stamps, meaning it went to the military. And it has a numbered magazine that is matching to the gun. And only the Luftwaffe ordered the magazines. They actually ordered them with 2 matching mags. And somewhere over the firing line, when they were target practicing, sitting around the base with nothing to do, said, hey, let's go target practice. Somebody mixed up their magazines and picked up the wrong one. So this is a near match, and this is matching. And let me show you the serial number so you know that I'm not lying. There's a serial number ending in 905, and here's the same serial number ending in 905. So that's enough for today. I've got so many guns to show you. There's 699 more waiting to be seen. So just to review, this was Luftwaffe PPK. Now that I'm done cataloging and researching the SS guns, I think next I'm going to work on the military contracts, including the Luftwaffe guns. So that's your opportunity to send me your data, send me your serial numbers, because that'll be the next book that I work on. Let's put this rig back together in the dropping holster, spare mag, and this one is ready to go out the door. And if you're a collector, you make money, or at least save money, by not making stupid mistakes. So thanks for watching. Oh, and Steve, check this out. Brand new when I put them on. I do one video and this is what it looks like. This is why I go through gloves so quickly.